Hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer bringing you another battle report. This one again, Mordheim. And I wanted to be able to bring a different warband for this one, mainly because in our group we decided that, if somebody were to get a lot of games in consecutively more than everyone else, they'd skill up their warband and kind of run away with it with a really maxed out warband with all kinds of skills and experience and equipment. So we limited it to 3 times per week using that warband, which it's not tremendous. I mean, I think I may be hard pressed to even get that much, and try to get 2 games in a sitting is great. But I hit my max though. The first week we were all jazzed, and a couple of us hit the max, but we're starting a whole new week. But at this last game day, I hit my max with the dwarves, so I decided, just in case that would occur and I would get another game in, I'll bring in my undead, and I can start utilizing my undead army and still be able to participate. And I wouldn't be, my main army is still going to be the dwarves. So here's my undead, and I like the undead a lot. I mean, undead, basically VC and now Undead Legions, is the mainstay of my Warhammer Fantasy army. So I have a lot of models, and some of the stuff I've painted up, and some of the stuff I just traded for, so they were already had a little paint on them, and some of the things I just haven't had a chance to get to. But this is going to give me a little more motivation to finish up some of these models. So here's my warband. I have on the left-hand side, I have 3 dregs. These are kind of like tainted humans, so the converted up men-at-arms zombies that I have for my Musalan, I still can't pronounce that properly, themed Bretonnian undead army, VC army. We're perfect for that. I have one with like a sword sticking through them. I have a bunch of them with arrows through the throat and an axe in the head and whatever. But they just look particularly nasty, and that really kind of works with this. I have a necromancer who's got the spell where he can, on a 5 up on 2d6, he can bring back a zombie that has fallen previously in combat, which is great because I can just send these guys off as fodder, and if they get destroyed, I just bring them back. They have to return within 6 inches of the necromancer. So this gives me an opportunity to finish the conversion I was going to do for his staff and actually paint that guy up. And then I have a converted model for my vampire. I use him a lot for. If this is the main body is Krell. I've converted him up so he can use 2 weapons, so I can put a shield in there, and I can swap out his head with a knight's head. I use the now deceased but former king of Bretonia's head for this, and sometimes I use Krell's head. So they're all magnetized. So, but I have a from the zombie dragon kit. The head, the vampiric head that I magnetized to throw on this as well, and I just like the body. It's just it's armored. It has a big skull for a shoulder pad and a big cape with fur. It looks really appropriate. And I put him on a big stone. So I'm gonna paint him up. This is gonna be my vampire lord. I've got 3 of the 3. Ghouls, and the ghouls are pretty good. They can move fairly quickly. They're not great in combat. You can skill them up and XP them up, but they can't carry an equipment. But they start off with 2 attacks, and they got a decent toughness, and that's great. And then I have very fast moving the 2 direwolves. Now their base move is 9, which is great, but they can't run. In other words, they can't do the 18 move. They can only move at 9, but they can charge 18. So I plan on holding them back, screened with some of the slower movers. And then these guys can just dart out and and charge from and they get an extra attack on the charge, which is great. So I'd love to get more of them, but they're kind of expensive at 50 a pop. And then I have my my 5 zombies, and this is I can max out right from the get-go basically my my army. I think it might be 13 or 15, I forget which. It looks like it's let's see. 10, 15. 15 is the maximum for this warband size. Now, look, a lot of guys are slow moving. You can never run with the zombies. They also can never carry equipment. They are what they are, but they're recyclable. I'm sure I'm going to lose most, if not all of them, but I'll be able to get them back throughout the course of the game, which is great. The vampire, it's really all about the vampire, a little bit about the necromancer, but a little bit about the vampire. So this is my army. One other great thing, everything causes fear. There's a lot of immunities, so a lot of these guys are immune to psychology and immune to poison, and that's great because things like Nurgle's Rot on the vampire leader, I don't have to worry about that. He's immune to it. I think so is all my other characters. Not really sure about that, but I know for a fact that at the very least the Vampire Lord is. So let's get to it. This is a 4x4 game, and we have a little bit of a different board than in the previous ones. We're at a different store, and they didn't have as much terrain. They had a lot more 40K-ish terrain, and we brought a few of these pieces, like the graveyard and the tower, and we just we managed to get a couple of tables in, and we decided to get one more game in, and we did 4x4. So there's my zombies, kind of in a crescent, not a crescent, a half moon, oval shape at the bottom. The Carnival of Chaos is in the upper left. There's the Bretonnians in the upper right, and I don't believe he's able to use his questing knight that was on a warhorse, because he got knocked out in the last game I played with my dwarves. And then at the far right is a new player. He's gotten a couple games in. This is Anthony's friend Doug, and he decided to bring in a unit of witch hunters. So the focus is this: we put these warp stones in various different places. I think we thought that it would be a good way to not only to get some of the newer war bands to get some more gold, and increase the size of their warband and get equipment, and especially for Doug more so than just my undead army. And that would be a good way to start, because it was a really good start when we did the 5 versus 5. So the first turn went to the undead, and I just started moving up. I moved them through into the forest, and again, I can't march with the zombies, but I want to try and keep my guys reasonably close to the zombies, so that when they do get in range, I can kind of swarm. And that so as I'm moving up the zombies, I'm kind of leapfrogging with a couple of these guys and putting them into hiding. So I put my dregs all into hiding. Look, they've all got bows, so I can shoot with them from long distance, but they got terrible ballistic skills, so they're not going to hit very much. And then I put my dogs on the outer side. I want to kind of get into the center, try and scoop up as many of these warp tokens as I can, and I'm going to try and snipe certainly with my zombie, with my vampire, because he's got the best ballistic skill. So next goes the Witch Hunters, and he goes up screening himself with some of the terrain. He's got a couple of warhounds and a couple of flagellants, and certainly a good number of shooting guys. And then the Carnival Chaos, which we've seen before, starts moving into the graveyard. They're amassing at those steps to start swarming in there. There's actually 2 or maybe 3 tokens in that graveyard area. And the Bretonnians, again, this player, he used a lot of Skaven to just denote where his squires were, because he didn't have a whole lot of Bretonnian models. So he moved up. I think he has that's a questing. That's an errant knight on foot, a bunch of squires, and then he's got a bunch of just bowmen and men at arms. We get back around to the Witch Hunters, and he starts he's being very cautious and trying to cover. The Carnival Chaos have moved into the graveyard, and there's two tokens to be had, and he's just trying to stack himself up so that if he was to get charged, that he'd have a good amount of counter charges. And there's a building off to the upper right, and that is it has really good vantage point for anybody who has shooting. So the Bretonnian player moves his guys to start moving up this ladder area here, so he could start sniping off characters. And there's a bridge from this structure that goes into the center, which I think he's going to use to try. Yeah, you can see it right here, which moves to one of the central buildings, and he moves I think either a henchman or one of his squires up to try and grab this token. So we move back to the Undead, and I feel like I want to start swarming into the graveyard, but I want to put just a couple guys in there to bait him. I have a really quick move with my direwolf, so I charge one of his henchmen. I charge another one of his henchmen with my zombie, and then I go to take one of the tokens with one of my ghouls. And I have zombies sitting there within reasonable charge range. I mean, the charge is 8. The only thing is that what I didn't realize is that you have to have line of sight from each model that wants to charge, not just from one model. So I kind of blocked myself off with 2 of these zombies, where 2 of them are not going to necessarily be able to go after anybody who counters and is in hand-to-hand with that ghoul. So that was a mistake, and I pluck a couple of arrows off with the dregs that have line of sight. And I want to move. I move a couple of guys up the ladder and then across that bridge into the other side of the graveyard. So I've got one ghoul there, one very fast-moving direwolf, and then I have one of my dregs with a bow, so I can start again sniping from a higher elevation. And my my direwolf eliminates one of this henchman, and this zombie just has a little bit of a pillow fight with this carnival henchman. And then we move back to the wizard hunters, and he starts again. He's methodically moving up into the center to try and gather up a couple of tokens. I think he's grabbed 1 or 2 tokens already. And then I believe that there was a bunch of shooting by the Bretonnian archers, ineffectual, and then a countercharge by the Carnival Chaos into the Undead. So he moves 2 of his guys into the ghoul in the lower portion of the screen, and an extra one to help out the henchman against the zombie. And then he countercharged the one of his jesters. I think that's a character, a hero type, into the direwolf. Which, you know, that's unfortunate. I like my direwolves. I hope I don't lose them. So my zombie goes down very easily. That's fine. I know I'm going to try to cast to try and bring him back later. And my direwolf gets knocked down. Not out of the fight, thankfully. He'll be able to get up, but he'll be striking last. But I do lose this ghoul. And, you know, I mean, the ghouls, they're henchmen. You know, there's a chance that they'll come back. And if I lose them, they're not terribly expensive. But, you know, hey, anything that's not a zombie that I can't immediately, you know, use a spell to return to the battlefield is gonna be a chance. I'm gonna be taking chances that they might be gone for good. So once again, the Bretonnian player, he starts massing up onto this balcony here, and there is a bridge again that moves from this balcony to the center building. So he wants to try and get a bunch of guys in there to start moving them up. So I charge in with, I lose my direwolf in the previous turn to the henchman, but I charged in with my other direwolf and stun this jester from the carnival. I start moving in some of my zombies on the upper door of the opening of into the graveyard, but I realized that I was probably going to, and I did charge also a ghoul into one of the guys who finished off the previous ghoul. And I was intending to not move my vampire into combat so quickly. I wanted to keep him back and just have him start sniping. But this guy with the hat here, he's just blocking the entire entrance. I can't get more than 1 guy in there. And I kind of figure if I can get him, if I can knock this guy out, I might be able to at least open this door for some of my other guys to start moving in and either shooting or attacking, because I'm supposed to be the one that's swarming, and I'm getting 2 to 1 in terms of the amount of guys that he has attacking mine, and that's just not going to work because he's a close combat specialist. My strength is in swarm. I knocked down one of his heroes, and again I stunned that other one, and we have a fight between the vampire and this guy with the hat. He kind of looks like the Joker, and I hit, but I failed to wound, which stinks. I mean, I actually am rolling 3 dice, which is unfortunate because, you know, again, vampire is probably one of the most stronger characters in the game. So the witch hunters are, again, they've scooped up a bunch of these tokens. Now they're starting to move these guys up on the central building towards this one on the bridge. They're getting pot-shotted at by the Bretonnian archers, but I don't think he's lost anybody yet. And he's starting to move his warhounds with one of his guys down the center to try and get this token that's down the middle. So the Carnival countercharges with another. Again, he's starting to logjam me. I can get two wide with the zombies, but I can't get to 3. So I'm only gonna. I mean, I only have 1 zombie that's going to be facing him. But if that zombie survives, I'll be able to charge with 1. If he dies, I can charge with both of these zombies. So I'm not that worried. I think I'll lock this hero of this warband up. And then we get to he charges then 2 more of his characters. I think I'm a henchman, and then he has now 2 characters on this ghoul. So this ghoul is not going to last very long. And then he throws another one of his jesters into my direwolf. But my vampire lord finally, you know, he's also got one of the warpstone tokens. So he's just been carrying it along with him. He finally finishes this one guy off. And then, you know, again, I'm kind of swarmed by his greater numbers, and I'm kind of getting log jammed here. So my direwolf is stunned. No, not stunned. Knocked down. I don't think I can get stunned. And then I lose my other ghoul. And then the Bretonnian player starts moving his team across this bridge. And it just reminds me of, of like, I don't know, King Kong and the log. You know, there's too many guys on this one thin little bridge. I don't know, it was barely able for us to actually keep them from all falling off if we just nudged the table. And then it comes back to my turn, and I forgot it the previous turn actually returned to actually use the spell to cast to get one of my zombies, but I remember this time, and there's that token in the center, so I just wanted to kind of slow down the guy in the middle, and maybe I could steal this central token. It happened to me in a previous game. Figured maybe I could return the favor, so I was able to get this spell off and get back one of my zombies. And then I charge in my Vampire Lord against one of his heroes, and he has, again, I've lost a zombie against another one of his heroes, but that guy's locked up, and my Direwolf gets back up, and now he's double teamed. He's got two guys on top of him, and one guy knocked down. So when we get to the Witch Hunters, he charges both of his Warhounds. He's borrowing a couple of my Direwolves into the zombie that's protecting and kind of blocking this token. And he starts moving the rest of his guys up, and Chaos Hounds on the charge, take out my zombie. And now we have a mass melee when we get to the Carnival. My zombie, I got two zombies that are kind of holding up one of his heroes. My Direwolf is holding off the two others, but he now has 3 guys on my Vampire Lord, and that's dangerous because I've taken a wound. I've only got 2. He hasn't gotten skilled up. If he gets knocked out of action, there's a chance that he could get killed. So I lose my Direwolf, unfortunately, and my Vampire Lord does not stun one of these guys. But still, I'm ganged up by 2 on 3, and that guy may be able to stand up next turn. The Bretonnians start moving further, more guys off to the center, and he plucked off some of the Witch Hunters that were on this bridge. And then it comes back to me again, and I just decide, you know what, I better cut my losses. I'm not worried about the zombies. I'm not worried about, I have like 4 or 5 casualties, but I don't want to lose that Vampire Lord. So you're supposed to roll as soon as you start. And I did. I rolled my leadership, and of course I rolled poorly. I rolled like a 10 or 11, and I just accepted the fact that, hey, this is probably better to route right now. So I disappear, and I take the 2 or 3 warp stones that I had with me. So I'm out of this fight now, and then we move off to the Bretonnians, and some of the Bretonnians kind of converged with them. I think that he managed to kill off both of his Warhounds with archers. But he loses. I think he doesn't lose, but his knight errant on foot gets knocked down. But he's got a bunch of these guys up on this balcony, and he's just plucking arrows at anything that's within view. So he knocks a couple more of the Witch Hunters out of the combat, and the Witch Hunters get to go next, and he's taken a number of casualties, but he's also gotten a lot of these warp stones, so he opts immediately to rout. And then, so that leaves the Carnival and the Bretonnians. So the Carnivals just start moving from the graveyard into the center. They're going to try and take it to the Bretonnians, and eventually, the game just ends. We decided that with multiple games, multiple sides, that if 2 of the teams of 2 of the warbands rout, that will let the game finish out with so everybody has equal number of terms, but then we'll end the game. And with that in mind, I was lucky enough with all of my post-game rolls that I didn't lose any of these the guys that had been knocked out of action, so I was able to retain all of my zombies and the Direwolf, both Direwolves, and the Ghoul that was, I think I actually lost 2 Ghouls, and so all of them are still in the warband, so that's great. I'm thrilled, and I managed to get a couple of skills and a couple of experience points for the characters that I do have. So I'll play with this as a secondary warband if ever I max out again, and maybe at some point I might play a little bit more if I just get a little bored with the dwarves. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and hey, have a great day, everybody.